For real, shout out to all the dedicated YouTubers who put all of their time and effort into sitting down to film these videos, because for whatever reason, every time I sit down for a video, there's always some type of malfunction and I hate it. Anyway, I lament no more.
Take me to the planet stellar, you loving every single thing you do. You got it. Oh, you got it.
Welcome back to my channel, my reading family. It is December, but I will be speaking on everything or my favorite things that I read in November. November was a very good reading month for me. I read a lot of very good stories. Surprisingly started off pretty hot. I read a few eroticas to begin with. I don't know how that happened. But a few of my favorite authors came out with some eroticas and I was in there, so we got what we got. Can you believe that it's December? Like, we're almost out of 2024. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I feel like we say this every year because we do, right? The time just flew by, the year flew by. Now I don't know, to me 2024 was very long and very interesting for me personally. But that's not what you guys are here for. You guys are here for the books. So I'm not gonna go off on a tangent like I really want to right now, but let's just say 2024 has been very interesting for me. And I think my favorite part about 2024 has been everything that I've read this year. Like, I've had some questionable reads. Not everything was, the best, but I only talk about what I loved. So let's get into it. So the first book I read this past month of November was Forever Bound by Tay Russ. It is the third and I believe it's the third and final book in her series I think it's called the Forever Bound series. But it's focused on a couple. You know what? Per usual, if I can't remember things, I will have them up on the screen somewhere. Always have all information down below in the description box. I apologize again. Every time I sit down for a video, I can't help but stare at myself in the viewfinder. So if I'm looking like cross-eyed because I'm looking in two different places, I'm so sorry. I've gotten off on a tangent and I don't even remember what I was talking. So my first story was Forever Bound by Tay Russ, that follows a couple who they've been together, they've been knowing each other for years. They're finally getting married in the third one. So we see them get married, have all type of erotic experiences because it is an erotic series. So we see some stuff. We read some stuff, but I read so many, excuse me, I read so many romance novels and erotica, like everything just kind of, excuse me, everything just kind of melts together for me. Like I don't focus so much on the erotic part of the stories as much because a lot of the stories that I read are very nuanced. They're not just eroticas. Like the characters are, they have depth. And the story has depth to it. Like there are other things to focus on besides the erotic part of it. And I'm very much a romance girl, so I'm really more focused on the characters. I'm very much into the human experience. I studied psychology in school, so that should tell you something. Like I'm very interested in the human experience. So when I read stories, I'm more focused on how the characters develop, how the story was written, how the relationship progresses throughout the story. What else? Something else. I can't think of it right now, but yeah, I focus more on the nuances of the story than I do as much on the erotic part of the stories. Though there are many of those, and a lot of the stories that I read is not the main thing that I focus on, so I don't talk a lot about that part of it because it's not what I'm mainly here for. Don't get me wrong, I love the spice. I love the spice. Like, who doesn't love a good spicy romance story, right? That's what we're here for, but it's not all we're here for. At least me personally. So yes, I've gotten off on a tangent as usual. Yes, so Forever Bound, third book in the series by Tay Russ. Go check it out. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it is a third book in a series, so like it doesn't really make sense for me to go too far in depth in the third book. But the whole series is very good. They are short stories, so if you want a quick erotic read, this is definitely one for you. It's always 5 stars for me with Tay Russ. She's one of my favorite authors. She writes well. Her characters are always interesting and easy to fall in love with. So definitely check it out. My next story was Headhunter by Stephanie Nicole Norris. If you haven't heard of Stephanie Nicole Norris, you've been under a rock. I'm telling you, she's written so many stories, so many series. She's a very good author who writes very well. Headhunter, I think it's kind of like a spinoff from one of her other series, her other erotic series that was also very good. But wow, I did not expect what I got when I got into the, like, I can't even, like, there's so many things that I can say, but like, I don't want to give too much away because of how, I don't want to keep saying nuanced, but it's just what it is. Like, because of all the nuances of the story, I don't want to give too much away if you do plan on reading it, because I would highly recommend that you read it. If you are open-minded about relationships and relationship dynamics, I would highly recommend it for you. If not, maybe not for you. If you're not, somebody who can get into a story and let the story be the story and not wanting the story to be what you want it to be, I would definitely recommend you read this one. And that's another thing I would recommend you do when you go into these stories. Don't go into these stories with your own expectations of how you want them to be. I highly recommend that you take the story for what it is, and if it's well written, if the author has made sense, it's a good read to me. It's a great read to me. But yeah, so Headhunter, very good. Ivy is the main female character. I can't give away too much on that one. I'm so sorry. I know every time I come up here, I'm like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't like giving away spoilers, but it is what it is on that one. Right, so my next story was, let's see, I have my notes in front of me now. Next story up is Anuri by Bailey West. It is a part of one of her new series, Whip and Fade, about Anuri. Anuri was the main female character. She is a hairstylist in the Whip and Fade salon. Whip and Fade, the concept there was so cool. Like, Whip and Fade is a hair salon / barbershop. Like, one side is the hair salon and the other side is the barbershop. I love that concept a lot. But yeah, she was one of the hairstylists in the salon. Her hero in this story was Callum, I think that was his name, right? Calman, excuse me. His name was Calman, yes. This was kind of a slow burn, friends to lovers type thing. The drama in this story on Anuri's side of things, wow. Just wow. I'm not usually one who likes a lot of drama in my stories, but if it makes sense, it makes sense in the story. Like, if it makes it an even better story, then I'm here for it. And this one was good. I can't lie about that. Like, yeah, it was good. Yikes on a bike. That's all I have to say about that. Woo! But yeah, the love story there was very cool, and I loved that Calman's part of this. Like, his whole background was cool too. Like, he's like African, and we get to see a little bit of his culture. It's very cool. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, definitely check that one out. It's very good. Um, I just can't get over the drama in that story. That was really crazy. Like, it's one of those stories where you have a moment or several moments where you want to jump through the pages and kind of strangle somebody a little bit, or a lot more than a little bit, or more than a couple of characters in there. You just kind of want to slap around a little bit, but you know, it was very good. Another 5-star for me. Big Nick Energy. This one was another quick read for me. Big Nick Energy by Danielle Allen. If you don't know who Danielle Allen is, once again, you've been under a rock, because she's popping these days. Okay, my girl has been traditionally published. Congratulations to her once again. Her traditionally published book was Curvy Girl Summer. See, I knew it would come to me. Stop playing. I'm such a mess today. Yes, so her traditionally published book was Curvy Girl Summer, which was another banger. I think, did I mention that in the, I'm pretty sure I had to have mentioned it back when I read it a few videos ago. So definitely check that out. But yeah, this month I read Big Nick Energy by Danielle Allen. This is another series. This is the first book in another one of her series of the Tales of Hamilton University, book 1. Main character was, let's see, what's her name? Asha. Asha girl. Asha girl. I thought you was crazy to begin with, my girl. Yes, I did. Ooh, when I first opened this book, I was hooked, for real. Like, I was like, Asha girl, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you all right? Like, I had to make sure Asha was all right. That's why I was caught right from the beginning. Like, I'm like, okay, I have to see how this turns out. Like, Danielle Allen has always been one of my favorite authors from the beginning of me and my Black romance journey. Like, always been top 5 of my favorite authors. This was no exception. She did a lovely job. Like, I was like, Asha girl, what's going on with you? Are you okay? Even her friend, I can't remember what her friend's name was. I'm pretty sure I wrote it down here though. Paris, her friend Paris, even she was like, girl, do we need to get you some help? I know I'm not making any sense right now, but yes, Asha and Paris attended Hamilton University. They are going back for homecoming, and Nick, who the story is Big Nick Energy. Nick is the guy that Asha has had a crush on since college. She was kind of I don't want to say unpopular. She wasn't unpopular. She just wasn't in the, you know, how college campuses can be. They have the people that you just know because everybody knows them. That's who Nick was. He was one of the, he was on the football team, obviously. He was in a fraternity. Was he in a football team? I know he was in a fraternity for sure. And everybody knew him. He was very popular. She was more on the eccentric side of things. But you know, he inspired her when they were in college, and from that point on, she kind of had a crush on him. And so she's going back to homecoming to get her man. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Y'all just have to take the journey and see how that goes, because I was legit like, girl, you crazy. You crazy. What's wrong with you? But she made it work. I tell you, she made it work. It was so funny, too. It was like a rom-com. It was very funny, very inspiring to me as well. So definitely a must read. Another one of my 5 stars. Moving on, we have Finally Famous by Lady Nisha. This year I've actually, she's my first time discovering her, is my first time discovering Lady Nisha as a writer, or in general. Finally Famous was actually written last year, 2023. But like I said, I'm kind of catching up. She has quite a few stories under her belt. Losing Control, which I think is one of her more popular stories. That's the first one I read of her, Losing Control. Anyways, so this month I read Finally Famous. Now this is more of an urban romance story, heavy on the urban. And they're not usually at the top of my list of reads, but her, like, some authors just have it. And she just has it. Like, I don't really, like I said, I don't usually do urban romances that much. I do, but not as often as I do contemporary romance. She has me hooked at this point. She's definitely made her way. She's wiggled her way into my top 10 of favorite writers in the romance genre. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent again. Finally Famous is about Rollo. His full name is Rollo. God, what is his stage name? I don't remember what his stage name is, but as always, I'll have it on the screen somewhere here. You know, he's trying to get famous. He grew up poor, but he has a talent that he's using to get himself out of that situation. His family dynamic is really, really interesting and crazy. His mother is nuts, absolutely nuts. But he meets Taylor, who is working at a club that he is celebrating at, and she is in a relationship when they meet. I love Taylor. Taylor is such a boss. Like, she's very confident in herself. She has a man, but like, she could have him or not have him. It doesn't, like, it's not gonna break her if, you know, she doesn't have a man. But for some reason she attracts, well, not for some reason, she is who she is. She attracts Rollo's attention, and, you know, they start a friendship. Obviously she's already in a relationship. It's a little iffy there with her already being in a relationship. She finds out just how crazy her man is real quick. When she befriends Rollo, she finds out real quick how unhinged her man is. And wow, the craziness ensues from there. And there's a lot that happens, and it is kind of a longer story, but it's not crazy long. Like, it needed to be split into more than one book. But there's like so much that goes on in such a short amount of time that it kind of feels like a movie almost. But yeah, I would definitely highly recommend that if you love urban romances that are giving you real life. It's giving real life. It's giving movie feel. I don't even know how to explain it well enough, but it's definitely among my favorite for November. Definitely another 5-star read. Yes, her boyfriend Jasper is a nutcase. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But definitely recommend that one. All right, so an ARC review that I did this month, which I don't usually do because, you know, by the time I get around to reading the book is already released, so it's no longer an advanced copy review. So, but this one I managed to get in before the release date, I believe. I'll have to put it up on the screen when the release date is, but I don't think it's been released yet. Anyway, so it's Somebody's Husband by Robbie Renee. Love her. Love her. You know, I'm trying to read more newer authors to me because I feel like I'm always reading stuff from my fave. I mean, I can't help it if my faves are always coming out with new stories. I'm gonna read them. What do you want? But no, anyway, Robbie Renee, Somebody's Husband. This one, whoa, it's a doozy. Break out your tissues, friends, because as great as the story is, it's going to make you cry if you're a crier. I'm not a heavy crier, even though I have been kind of lately. I have been, but this story is definitely tissue warranted because yikes on a bike. It's emotional. It's very emotional. It's very heartfelt. Like Harper, is her name Harper? Well, I'm saying Harper, yes. See how I just jumped out? Sometimes it just jumps out at me. Sometimes I don't remember. Sometimes it jumps out at me just because it stuck with me that much. Harper was such an amazing female character. She selfless, considerate of everyone, did for so many, like I don't want to say she's a single mom of two young adults, I guess I could say. Her youngest son was like late teens and her older son was in his early 20s. Still very much needed by her kids, especially with all of the emotional things that they were going through with their father. Like very, very, just all the feels. And Dresden, I believe Dresden was the male main character's name. He has two kids as well, two teenage daughters, 19. And you know how teenage girls can be. I know how teenage girls can be. I was a teenage girl, so I know how they can be, especially when it comes to their dad. If their dad is their hero, their everything, like, I know how that can be. And especially as well, they also have a very emotional family thing going on that makes it a little bit challenging for the adults to navigate, life and relationships. But it was just so well written. Robbie Renee did a very beautiful job with this one, for real. And I believe yes, this is a part of another series. The first one was Somebody's Wife, different couple. I feel like there was another book in this series, so I can't. Somebody's Wife, Somebody's Husband. I can't think of what the other book is, but if I figure it out, obviously I'll put it somewhere for you guys to see. Another 5-star read, guys. You gotta get into these. You gotta get into these stories. They're all 5 stars for me. But like I said, I will have the release date. If I haven't already shown it, I'll have the release date for Somebody's Husband up here for you guys to check out. And that was it for my contemporary reads. Well, not for my contemporary reads, but I had some holiday reads for in November. So I could recommend some holiday stories for you guys to read in December. So they're all technically standalones, but they were released together, I believe. They're all standalone stories, different couples. The first that I read was Christmas in Spite of You by Casey Mills. I read a lot of her stories as well. Oh, excuse me, guys. This one is a grumpy sunshine type of Christmas story. The male main character is the grumpy, and of course the female character, her name is Noelle. She is the sunshine. She loves Christmas. She loves everything Christmas. Poor thing gets sick right before she's supposed to travel to see her family, so she ends up stuck at home. She's already rented out her apartment because she needs the extra cash, so she wasn't actually supposed to be home. She was supposed to have traveled. She cancels last minute, but because it's so last minute, and I guess she canceled at the same time that he was confirming his reservation, so I guess the cancellation got canceled out. So he ends up there with her. And his name is Canton. I would say he's not really a grump, even though he does harumph a lot in the story. It's more so, I guess his family is kind of wealthy, so they were more about appearances during the Christmas time rather than spending Christmas with, each other. They were more doing like charity stuff to get, media attention or whatever. So he never really had Christmas that you would expect to have in childhood, where you're spending time with your family, doing activities with your family. He didn't really get that, so he really has no point of reference to the type of Christmas that Noel is used to. So she's teaching him all the, Christmas spirit that she has. She's giving to him, and it's a cute story for sure. It's cute. I think this one was more 4 stars for me. I don't remember why it was only 4 stars for me, but something just there wasn't clicking for me, I guess. I don't know what it was. It was still a very good, very heartwarming Christmas story, something out of, Hallmark, or do Lifetime still do Christmas movies? I don't know. I know Hallmark is the hallmark of Christmas movies. So the next one I read was Second Chance Christmas by Jaquel J. This one I felt like was more on the, not even the romance side, it was more on the rom-dram, like dramatic romance side than it was the Christmas. Like the Christmas was kind of more of the background. So if you're into Christmas-ish stories, but more, I guess on the drama side or on the romance side, then the Christmas side, this one I would recommend too. This one was also only 4 stars for me. I think because of that reason, like I expected it to be a lot more of a Christmas story. Not to say that it was not a good story, because it was definitely a very good story. So the main characters, let's see what the main characters were in this one. Faith and Rome. So Faith and Rome are high school, well, they were high school sweethearts. Something very tragic happens on their prom night, because we get a flashback at the beginning. It's like a prologue. You get the flashback of what happened when they were in high school. So something very traumatic, devastating happens that breaks them apart in their teenage years on their prom night of all nights. I was so devastated, so devastated for them that happened on their prom night. But I digress. Excuse me for a second. My feet are freezing. I put my slippers on. Okay, so then we flash forward, and Faith and Rome have obviously grown up. I think it's about 15 years later, somewhere around there. Faith is getting divorced. She has twin daughters. She's moved out of town, and she's like, I refuse. She does not want to go back. But her father falls ill, so she has to travel back to, make sure his businesses are up and running properly for him. While he's, taking a break. And Rome is still living in that town, taking care of his mother and running his father's business. And when they run back into each other, it's like no time has passed. Even though they had such a traumatic breakup in the beginning, I'm like, how do you come back from that? Like, trust me, read the story, please, because when you read that beginning, it's like, how do we get them back to a good place, or get them to a good place again? Because it was just so devastating. I couldn't it was like very into the story, but it just wasn't really giving Christmas to me. Or maybe it's just because I was so affected by that aspect of the story that the Christmas aspect of it just was kind of overshadowed to me personally. But I still gave it 5 stars. I mean, 4. I think it was like 4 point something stars. Because it was still a very engaging and very good romance story. And last but not least, A Novel Christmas. This was my favorite of the 3 Christmas stories that I read by Charity. What is it, Charity Shane or Charity Shanae? I have no idea how you say her last name, but like I said, I'll have it, and hopefully you guys know how to pronounce that. Charity, I'm starting to fall in love with her stories too, because I haven't read too many of her stories before, so I'm starting to kind of fall in love with the way she writes. And this story was so cute. Like, this was the most Christmas of all of the Christmas stories. So she's a romance author who's been tasked by her publishers to write a Christmas story, which is something that she doesn't do and doesn't want to do. But it's either write the stories or be let go by the publishers, because they believe that the stories that she has been writing haven't been hitting the way they should be. So they're tasking her with writing these stories, and so she decides to travel for Christmas to get inspiration for these Christmas stories, or this Christmas story. So she travels to a town called Santa Claus in Indiana. I believe it's in Indiana. And y'all know I had to go Google to see if that was actually a real town in Indiana, and it is. It is an actual town in Indiana, Santa Claus, Indiana. And it's very much Christmas. It's Christmas and it's Santa Claus. It's Christmas and it's Santa Claus, y'all. I was like, I can't believe that's a real place in the United States. In Indiana, it's a real place in Indiana. I kind of want to go now, but only if they have this little tight-knit African American, community in Santa Claus. I don't know if that's true, but I know it's a real town. There's, like I said, it's a small knit. I think she said there's only 3 or 5% of the town is actually black. So she's like, oh, I hope I see my people when I get there. And she does. She finds her people, and it is such a wonderful time. Honestly, one of my favorite Christmas stories that I've read ever, to be honest. Obviously it's 5 stars for me. Christmas story. So, A Novel Christmas. We meet, where's her name? She had an interesting name. Syra. Her name is Syra, and she meets Dorian when he rents out one side of his duplex, because he does, I think it's like Airbnb. He lives on one side of the duplex and he rents out the other side. So she meets him, and boy, it's fireworks from beginning to end, these two. But it is another layered, nuanced story. Another one you might need tissues for too. Dorian is still recovering from losing his wife, who he moved to Santa Claus for when she got sick. So he moved there with her so she could be with her family. And he's still recovering. I think at the time that we meet him, it had been 2 years since she passed. And he's still recovering, still having difficulty opening up his heart to love again. And here enters Syra, or Sarai. I don't know, I might be saying her name wrong. It's spelled like this. However, I put it up here. But yeah, this is such a good story. It's such a Christmas Wonderland story. I just love that. I just love that. I don't know what else to say. I love it so much. Okay, so we're gonna end this video with my TBR for this month, December. So I'm just gonna read them off as they are in front of me. Okay, and I'll have whichever side I end up putting it on, I'll have the book cover so you guys can see what they look like. For the month of December, we have Under the Influence by Kimberly Brown, Beautiful Noise by Casey Mills, Beautiful Harmonies by Monica Walters, Right Where You Belong by Danielle Burton, Beat Match by Bailey West, Private Agenda by Christina C. Jones, The Perfect Sister by I think it's Desire or Desiree. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But and my Reach story, which I call my Reach story because it's the one that I may or may not get to, but I'm hopeful. It's my hopeful for December. So my hopeful for December is Sweet Honesty by Joan Vassar. That's going to be a new thing for me, like a new subgenre for me, because I believe it's set in it's either 1980s or the 1990s. I can't 100%, or 1950s. Girl, it's back in the early 1990 or 1900s. It's in the early 1900s, not 1990s, Lord. Fix it, Jesus. It's set in the early 1900s. I can't remember, somewhere between the 1950s and the 1990s. I can't remember which one, because I think I was looking at another story of hers that's also set kind of later. So Sweet Honesty is a male story. So it's about a gay couple, I guess. I can't remember the description right now, but it is definitely a new area for me. So I'm trying to branch out a little bit. I still have not gotten around to tying down some good male authors. That's definitely going to be one of my goals for 2025. Actually find some, I don't know why, I just have the authors that I love reading, and most of the authors that I see that come up to me are female authors. But it's my mission to find my goal is to find, I've said this like 5 times now, so forgive me for laughing, but my goal for 2025 is to find some good, and if you guys have recommendations, please, I beg of you, tell me if you have good recommendations for male authors in the Black romance genre, because that is my goal for 2025, to find some good male romance authors in 2025. That's my goal. That's my top goal for 2025. Y'all have to remind me too, because I be like getting caught up in, oh my girl coming out with another book, gotta read that. So I mean, I'm always here for the ladies, like we gotta uplift each other. But I'm sure there are some good male authors out there too, so y'all let me know. I'm gonna keep looking, or start looking, because I was supposed to be doing that this year and I totally forgot. But that's definitely one of my goals for 2025. Find some of those and get into it. Okay, I'm done rambling about that now. So you guys know what I'm reading this month. I've already started, obviously. December has already begun. What else? Follow me on Instagram if you want to get some other recommendations for holiday reads for this month. I'm going to be starting a 15 Days of Christmas Black Romance edition in my stories. I may also post it as a post, or maybe as a reel. I'm not sure, but I'm definitely going to have them in my stories and in my highlights for the month of December, starting, what is today? I'm most likely posting this video on a Saturday. So check in with my Instagram on Tuesday and you will see that I'm starting that series, 15 Days of Christmas romance, or Black Romance edition, to give you guys some recommendations for some holiday reads in the Black romance genre, if you are interested in that. I may post, no, I'm not going to post another video. I don't know. I may post another video this month on YouTube. It's most likely going to be a short. If I do, I'm going to try. No, I'm not even going to make that promise. I'm not even going to make that promise. Y'all will probably see my actual face again in January, where I wrap up what I've read this month in December and probably give you guys my goals for the year. My well thought out goals. You already know one of them, but I'm thinking of some more for this year, for the YouTube channel and my other social media platforms. The only other thing I ever post on is Instagram. So for here and for Instagram, I'll let you guys know at the top of January. And I thank you all for watching this video. It's been fun recapping what I read in November. Hopefully you guys will see my face again, at least at the top of the year. If not before, and it's not going to be before the new year. So I will see you guys in the new year. I know I'm not going to be back with my face before then. I'm not going to make that promise. But I hope you all enjoy the rest of your year and you have a blessed new year. If you like this video, you know what to do. Thumbs up, subscribe. If you want to see more, I'll have some linked at the end where you guys can check out me doing my journaling thing. I love doing my little visuals. I did not do it for November because I was so into reading. I did not even bother stopping to journal about it. I just did my reviews. Oh, speaking of reviews, before I go, if you want to see more in-depth reviews on anything that I've mentioned the past several months, including this month, I will have my blog link. Excuse me. I'll have my blog linked below. I'll also have my Amazon reviews linked below. The Amazon reviews are a lot more brief. But if you want to see my in-depth reviews for all of the stories that I've mentioned, I will leave a link to my blog down below for you guys to check out. And I hope you all will be blessed. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace. Let me tell y'all something. This is why I don't sit down for sit down videos, because there's always some technical difficulty happening with the sound, with the video. Somebody didn't text me or called me and now the video is interrupted. Their names are, I don't have my notes in front of me. This is me. This is why whenever I sit down for a video, it's like I'm rambling, because probably I am. I never have scripts. I might look at some notes, but I never have scripts for these videos. I'm always talking off the top of my head. And look at me, I'm knocking the camera. Oh my gosh, such a mess right now. Oh, fix it, Jesus. Excuse my wig, y'all. It look a little crazy. I don't have it fully attached to my head, but it's doing something for me right now. Let's say that. This is so embarrassing, guys. I'm not even prepared for what I'm talking about. And I don't know how to get to what I need to on this iPad. This is so embarrassing. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk off the top of my head and pray that I'm saying the right things.